Hi there. Have you ever really taken the time to consider the words that we use when we talk about ADHD? And I mean words that we use to talk about ourselves to others, to describe ourselves, and certainly words that others use when they talk about us. I sometimes feel we're quite complicit in buying into. I'm not just talking about words like deficit and disorder that are already baked into the very label that our unique style of thinking is given, but even words like perfectionist, procrastinator, multitasker, overcomplicated, forgetful, of course. But I feel sometimes we buy into those words ourselves. Now, I'm fascinated by words. I'm British, and of course, I love vocabulary. I love words that have nuance in them. I love just the art and the craft of words. And I'm also an ADHDer, so I tend to over-communicate, have done all my life. So words are very much my currency. I love them, I enjoy them, and I never underestimate their power. And words have the most enormous weight. They have the weight to, change how people think about things, feel about things, see things, and judge things. And I think we sometimes use words in a way that does us no favors. A few years back, given my fascination with words, I went to a training program. It was 4 very intensive days around something called appreciative inquiry. Appreciative inquiry is kind of questioning style that believes in starting the conversation from a positive place, not a negative place. So it's less about what are the challenges we face, how are we going to get over them, which is a very traditional business way of thinking. More about what are the possibilities, what's the potential, blue sky first, and then bring it down instead of starting with problems and trying to grow from there. So it's like if you were a gardener and you had a wheelbarrow full of energy and effort and good things, and you had a choice. You could use that wheelbarrow to fill up a hole. That's what I call deficit language, deficit thinking. Or you could start at a much higher point and build on that higher point. But where are you going to put your effort and energy? Not in filling up that hole. I think we have to have our conversation starting from that higher point. I'd like to talk about 5 words really quickly. I'm often told you're a perfectionist, but I'm not shining up that diamond to make all the facets sparkle brilliantly and it is perfect. No. I'm actually in much muddier territory. I'm mining for gold. I'm looking for the gold nugget, the insight, the key, the light switch, whatever you want to call it, the information that helps me organize my thinking in a way that makes sense to me. It's sort of like it unlocks the thought process in a way that allows me to organize my brain. Only when I've done that and internalized it can I then feel confident about it. So I'm not about perfectionism. This is something completely different. Procrastination. So procrastination is a decision that you make. When you procrastinate, you choose not to do something. You choose to defer it. And again, that is not what I'm doing when I'm procrastinating. The way it works for me is imagine you're driving a car and imagine, I have 5 things I need to do, 5 tasks I need to do. Those tasks are in the rear view mirror until they're not. They're in the rearview mirror until all of a sudden one of them jumps out in front of the car and I can see it in the headlights. And now I will take action and avoid any disaster happening. I will do what needs to be done to get the job done. So it's not about active procrastination. It's just like they're all in the background until some pressure point brings them into the foreground for me. Multitasking, mess. Doing too many things at once. How many times have I been asked to just focus on one thing? I sort of can't do that because my brain is not wired like that. My brain likes to parallel process. Now, it might not do a great job of that, but I'm not a sequential thinker. I am somebody who thinks in parallel, concurrently. So no, I'm not multitasking. I'm actually just parallel processing. Unfocused. You're unfocused. Why can't you just focus on, well, I can't. That's the simple answer. And I try and explain to people when I try and really hone in on something, it feels like a force field pushing me away, like one of those, protective defense shields you have around futuristic spaceships. It repels all comers. So no, it's not that I'm unfocused, that there is an anti-focus force field in my way. Overcomplicated. Yes, you could say that, but you could also say that you are able to make connections that other people can't see. I can't start from a reductive point and make it more complex. I have to boil the ocean. I have to start with all the complexity and try and bring it down. But those interconnections make systems. And so it's a little bit like systems thinking, but without the system. And this is, by the way, a really creative force that we have. So how could AI help us in these? Perfectionism, it's the perfect partner, whether you are buffing that diamond or looking for the gold nugget. AI is brilliant. You just basically chuck all your ideas in, ask it to surface the insight, find that nugget, polish that stone, whatever you want it to do, it can do. And it can then take it further. So if you find the insight, it can then create a mind map. So you could start to see how that insight spins off into different areas. It will help you from that North Star, if you like, organize your thinking in a way that you can grasp and communicate. It's really good at that. Procrastination. How do you move a task from the rear view mirror into the headlights? I think you have to do that by making it real, making it tangible. The great thing with AI is whatever task you have to write a report, do a framework for research, create a presentation, make a shopping list, plan a holiday, whatever it is, just get AI to do a first draft. Just chuck it in there and say, give me some ideas, some thoughts, a framework, and then park it. Because now you've actually started, and that moves it further into the light. It might not be the answer, but I think by giving the tasks some flesh, if you like, by making them somewhat real, giving them some shape, then they will move further towards the headlights and have a better chance of getting done. Multitasking, the same thing. You could load up all your tasks. You could ask AI to prioritize them for you, maybe by your mood, maybe by what you want to do and what you don't want to do, maybe in importance or impact or easiest to do, hardest to do, whatever you want. AI can sort that out for you, and then it can attach a project plan and timing guidelines. So again, it's not going to do the task for you unless you collaborate with it on that outcome, but it will help you organize your mind. It basically is breaking through, by doing some of the early heavy lifting for you. Unfocused, what about that force field? How on earth can we get through that force field? Well, here's the great thing. AI can actually bust a hole in that force field for you, that anti-focus force field, because I don't know about you, but I used to struggle sometimes looking at a blank sheet of paper. Where to start? I had so many thoughts. Where do I start? And again, AI is just fantastic at whatever you want. You want a framework? You want a slide? You want a critique of what you've done? You want some graphs, flowcharts, some ideas for dinner? AI can do that for you in a very simple and collaborative way. So use AI as your anti-focus force field fighter. Overcomplicate. We are so in the wheelhouse of AI now. AI is taught to find patterns, connect the seemingly disconnected, and it can also work at the speed of our brains. So take all those fragments, take all that systems thinking that hasn't really found its home, and work with AI until you get there. What I have to say about AI and our brains is something I say over and over again. It is the yin to your yang. Take a look at where you feel some of your barriers are and work with AI on overcoming those barriers. Let's try and shift the conversation away from this pejorative language, this judgy language, and look at what we can do, not at what we can't do. See you soon.
Gotta be me in the light of the dark with the fire.